My parents stole everything, but when the judge asked one question, I finally told the truth that ruined them. The message came at 11:42 p.m. Maya Khalid had been halfway through a cup of bitter coffee and a spreadsheet that refused to balance when her phone lit up against the dark apartment wall. A single vibration. A notification banner glowing blue. We've changed all the locks. Don't bother coming home.
Amy.
For a full 10 seconds, she just stared, blinking once, twice, as if the words would rearrange themselves into something logical. The tiny green check beside the message confirmed it had been delivered, read, final. The silence afterward felt heavier than any scream. Her thumb hovered above the glass. She thought of typing Y, then didn't. Another part of her, the part that had spent years auditing the truth behind numbers and facades, already knew the answer. A small laugh slipped out, so quiet it almost startled her. It wasn't humor, it was disbelief wrapped in clarity. They'd finally done it. They'd taken what she'd built, erased her name from their world, and called it family duty. But they hadn't taken her mind. And they hadn't taken the proof. She locked the phone, leaned back in her chair, and whispered to the empty room, "You shouldn't have sent that message, Amy." The glow from her laptop cast faint bars of light across the wall where old photographs hung. Pictures of family dinners, birthdays, celebrations she now recognized as transactions, disguised as affection. Tonight, all of it ended. Growing up in Karachi's Gulshan-e-Iqbal district, Maya had been taught that silence is respect. Her father's voice was law, her mother's approval currency, and Saira, the delicate youngest, was the constant standard. At 15, while her classmates rehearsed for school plays, Maya was patching leaky taps and balancing her father's expense notebooks. "You're sharper than any boy," Rashid Khalid would say, patting her shoulder with the weight of ownership.
See?
Even girls can be useful. He called it praise. She learned to call it tolerance. By 17, Maya was the unofficial accountant of the family, handling bills, payments, tax slips, because numbers don't argue, and arguing wasn't allowed. At university, she graduated top of her class in finance, landing her first job at a mid-tier auditing firm. Her parents celebrated, not with pride, but with expectation. "Now you can finally help us breathe," her mother said, handing her a list of unpaid bills before Maya's first salary had even cleared. And she did. For years. Rent arrears, utility payments, home repairs, small loans that were never small. She told herself it was love, disguised as responsibility. Because what else could it be? Saira, meanwhile, drifted through art exhibitions and cafe openings, her parents beaming like sponsors at a charity event. "Our artist daughter," they'd say, as if creativity was currency they could spend. When Saira's solo exhibition failed to earn a single sale, it was Maya's account that quietly covered the studio's remaining dues. It became a cycle, obligation disguised as virtue. Until the whispering started. It was a March evening, humid, the kind that clings to skin and conscience alike. Maya returned home late from work, shoes dragging, the house lights still on. Voices drifted from the drawing room, her parents and Saira, low, conspiratorial. She was halfway to her bedroom when her own name sliced through the quiet. "The deed is in our names only," Nadia was saying. Maya's money was just help. Voluntary. "She won't expect anything when we sell," Rashid replied. "She's too emotional for legal talk." Saira murmured. "Are you sure that's fair?" Nadia's laugh was a blade. "Fairness doesn't build futures, Beta. Ownership does." Something in Maya's chest cracked, not loudly, just enough to let the truth seep in. She stood there, rooted, each word carving itself into memory. They were planning to sell the house she'd kept standing, the one she'd painted, renovated, financed, and erase her completely. She didn't confront them. She simply walked to her room, closed the door, and opened her laptop. That night, under the low hum of the ceiling fan, Maya began the most important audit of her life. Every transfer, every receipt, every screenshot. If numbers don't lie, she thought, then they'll finally tell my story. For the next 6 months, Maya lived 2 parallel existences. By day, she was the calm professional at Rafik and Partners, an accounting firm known for its clean suits and quieter scandals. By night, she became a shadow archivist, documenting 14 years of financial servitude her family had conveniently called love. Her laptop turned into a fortress of digital evidence. 12 lakh toward mortgage installments, recorded as temporary help. 8.3 lakh in renovation supplies, paints, fixtures, wiring, plumbing. 3.2 lakh in utility bills and emergency transfers. Countless weekends spent repairing and repainting, labor she could have billed at market rates. In total, her contribution exceeded 25 lakh, nearly half the property's appraised value. Zion Malik, a corporate lawyer she'd met during a tax audit 2 years earlier, was the first person she dared to confide in. "If you can prove financial contribution tied to ownership intent," he said over coffee at a quiet Clifton cafe, "you can claim equity." "Even without my name on the papers?" she asked. "Equity isn't only ink," he replied. "Sometimes it's sweat, receipts, and courage." His tone carried both professional precision and personal concern. For a moment, Maya saw something in his eyes she wasn't ready to name. The plan began forming, methodical, lawful, unstoppable. When Nadia Khalid's message arrived that night in September, "We've changed all the locks," Maya felt no fear. She felt confirmation. The cruelty of the words, the gleeful finality, were exactly what her lawyer needed. Proof of malicious intent. She archived the message, attached it to the growing digital case file, and finally closed her laptop. Then she slept, dreamlessly, for the first time in months. At 7 the next morning, sunlight split across her balcony. Maya dialed Zion. "File the petition," she said, her voice steady. Within 48 hours, Khalid versus Khalid and Khalid was officially registered with the Sindh Civil Court. Her parents were served notices that left them rattled. They'd never imagined their obedient daughter would turn the very system they'd underestimated into her weapon. Phone calls poured in. Her mother's tear-soaked voicemails. Her father's fury. Cyrus' confused texts. Maya didn't reply. Each message was evidence of pressure. Each silence her new power. The confrontation took place 10 days later in a sterile conference room on Ma Jinnah Road, the kind of place where families turned into legal footnotes. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, slicing everyone into harsh outlines. On one side of the long table sat Maya and Zion, calm, composed, files stacked neatly. On the other, her parents and Syra, flanked by their anxious attorney. Rashid's face burned crimson. Nadia tried to wear her old superiority like armor. Syra looked small, guilty, unsure which side deserved her loyalty. Zion slid a thick folder toward the center of the table. "Documentation of my client's financial contributions," he said evenly, "along with evidence of labor and intent." Inside were copies of every bank transfer, every receipt, every message. Rashid flipped through the pages, his hands trembling. The confident smirk he wore at family gatherings disintegrated line by line. "These were gifts," he finally barked. "Family helping family. You can't use your own blood." Zion's tone stayed cool. "The law recognizes good faith. It also recognizes exploitation." He produced another file, bank statements proving the Khalids had healthy savings during every supposed crisis. Nadia's eyes flickered. "We never meant," Maya cut in, voice steady. "You never meant for me to understand what I was signing away." The silence afterward was thick enough to taste. Cyrus' whisper broke it. "Maya, I didn't know." Maya met her gaze. "You were sitting there when they planned it." No one spoke again for the rest of the session. Outside, the Karachi air felt heavier, but freer. Maya stood on the courthouse steps, file pressed against her chest. Zion joined her, quiet for a long while before saying, "They'll settle. They can't risk a full hearing." She nodded, staring at the traffic below. "I don't want their money. I just want acknowledgement." "You'll get both," he said. "Justice has receipts too." She laughed softly, the sound of something breaking but also rebuilding. That night, back in her apartment, Maya scrolled through her old photos again. Family dinners, birthdays, the same smiles that had hidden centuries of obligation. She deleted them all, one by one, until the screen went black. For the first time, she didn't feel empty. She felt space to begin something new. The morning after mediation felt almost too quiet. Maya woke to the sound of rain drumming against the balcony railing. The city blurred into streaks of gray and gold. Karachi looked washed clean, but she knew better. Storms never left without a mess. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Calls from relatives she hadn't spoken to in years. Messages thick with judgment disguised as advice. Beta, don't take your parents to court. They're old. Forgive, it's better for your soul. You'll regret making family enemies. Each line was a chain she refused to wear again. She muted the phone, brewed tea, and opened her email. At the top sat a message from Zayn Malik. Subject: Preliminary Settlement Proposal. Maya, their counsel reached out. They're panicking. They've proposed to buy you out quietly, 1.5 lakh and a signed NDA. I told them no decision without you. She stared at the screen, heartbeat steady but loud. 1.5 lakh was a fraction of her rightful share, but the number itself didn't matter. The attached condition, silence, was the insult. Maya closed the email and exhaled. They still think this is about money. That evening, a knock echoed through her apartment. When she opened the door, her mother stood there, soaked in rain, a scarf slipping from one shoulder. Behind her, the hallway light cast a tired halo. Maya, please, Nadia whispered, stepping inside before permission came. We need to talk. Maya folded her arms. We already did. Through lawyers. Nadia's composure cracked. Her voice trembled between guilt and manipulation. Your father is sick with worry. We can't sleep. This case, it's destroying the family. The family destroyed itself when you sent that message, Maya replied. Her mother flinched, eyes darting toward the phone on the coffee table, where the message still sat archived like an open wound. I was angry, Nadia said weakly. You don't know what pressure we were under. The bills, the tension. Pressure you hid under my name, Maya interrupted. Every emergency payment, every false plea. I've seen your bank records, Amy. You weren't drowning. You were hoarding. For a second, silence stood between them like a wall. Then Nadia's voice softened, desperate. Beta, families forgive. Let's forget this. Come home. Maya's laugh was brittle. You changed the locks, remember? When her mother left half an hour later, the apartment felt colder, but lighter. Some closures don't arrive with hugs. They arrive with doors closing the right way. 2 days later, Zion invited her to his office, a sleek glass building overlooking Clifton's seafront. Inside, he handed her a file. Their second offer. Double the amount. Still demands silence. Maya skimmed the pages, expression unreadable. They're terrified of losing face. Exactly, Zion said, leaning forward. If you go to trial, the details become public. You'll win more, but it will get ugly. They'll be humiliated. Are you ready for that fallout? She looked out the window, where rain clouds thinned to silver light. They humiliated me for years and called it parenting. I can handle their shame. Zion smiled faintly. You know, you're the calmest client I've ever had. Most people shake when court dates approach. Maybe because I've already survived the worst trial, she said softly. For a moment, the air between them changed, unspoken tension charged with something gentler. Zion hesitated, then added quietly, You don't have to do this alone, Maya. Her heart stuttered. You mean legally or? He gave a small shrug. Both, maybe. The clock ticked between them, steady, certain. Let's finish the case first, she murmured. Then we'll see what's left to build. The day of the hearing arrived under an unforgiving sun. Inside the Sind civil court, the air buzzed with murmurs, papers shuffling, fans whirring against the heat. Rashid and Nadia sat across the aisle, their lawyer whispering urgently. Syra sat behind them, her eyes red, lips pressed into a single pale line. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. Zion presented the case with surgical precision, each exhibit a brick dismantling the fortress her parents had built. bank transfers, renovation receipts, messages requesting temporary help. Then he produced the text, the one sent at 11:42 p.m. "We've changed all the locks. Don't bother coming home." The judge read it aloud, his tone clipped but heavy. This message demonstrates intent to exclude the petitioner despite her financial contributions. Her father erupted. That was anger, not intent. Zion didn't flinch. "Intent is proven by pattern, Your Honor. Anger was merely the mask." Nadia tried to interject, tears spilling freely now, but her words tangled with sobs. Syra, unable to bear it, stood abruptly and whispered, "They're lying, Maya's right." The entire courtroom turned. Her confession cracked whatever defense remained. The judge raised a hand in silence. "The evidence is overwhelming. The petitioner is entitled to equitable ownership." When the gavel struck wood, Maya didn't feel triumph, only release. Outside, the midday heat shimmered over the marble steps. Zion walked beside her, briefcase in hand. "It's done," he said. "You own 50%. They can't appeal without new evidence." Maya nodded, eyes on the bustling street. "I thought I'd feel revenge. I just feel free." "Freedom's better than revenge," he said quietly. She looked at him. "You sound like you've learned that the hard way." He chuckled. "Maybe someday I'll tell you that story." They stopped at a street vendor. He bought her a bottle of water. Their fingers brushed as he handed it over, small, fleeting, but it lingered longer than the taste of victory. Weeks passed. Her parents refused all negotiation, forcing a court-ordered sale. The house, a cream-walled bungalow in PCHS that had once smelled of cardamom and new paint, sold for 1.2 crore. After legal deductions, Maya received her half. Her parents relocated to a cramped apartment near Karanji, their grand plans for a comfortable retirement, reduced to survival. Syra moved out soon after, guilt making silence between them unbearable. Maya didn't gloat.
She didn't visit.
She simply transferred her belongings, deleted old photos, and signed the final sale papers with a clear hand. Then, with part of her share, she bought a modest townhouse near Zamzama, quiet street, sunlit balcony, no ghosts. The first night there, she changed the locks herself. It felt symbolic. 3 months later, a registered envelope arrived, her father's handwriting on the front. She almost threw it away. Instead, curiosity won. Inside lay a single page. "Maya, your mother's health is failing. She asks for you. I don't expect forgiveness, only that you visit once. Maybe you'll understand why we did what we did."
Abu.
Maya stared at it for a long time. The paper smelled faintly of the old house, turmeric, varnish, and years of deceit. She didn't go. Some goodbyes are safer unsaid. Instead, she placed the letter inside a drawer, beneath her property deed, and whispered, "Understanding doesn't erase damage." One evening, while organizing files for her new freelance practice, Maya stumbled upon a forgotten folder, renovation_2017. Inside was a spreadsheet she didn't remember creating, columns of expenses and transfers. But one line stood out. 1.5 lakh account. M. Malik. Her breath caught. That was Zion's account. Heart racing, she scrolled further. The note beside the transaction read, "Consultation advance, roof legal review." But she hadn't hired any legal consultant back in 2017. She'd barely known Zion then. She cross-checked the account number with a business registry database. It matched a dormant consultancy, one that had been subcontracted by her father's firm during the same period. A chilling possibility surfaced. Zion had known her family long before they met. The next day, she confronted him. They met at the same Clifton Cafe, where their plan had begun. "You worked with my father's firm in 2017, she said quietly. "Why didn't you tell me?" Zion's expression tightened, guilt flashing across his face. "I was a junior consultant then. Your father hired our firm for tax restructuring. I didn't mention it because it felt irrelevant, and because I thought you'd walk away if you knew. You let me believe you were impartial. I was Maya.
I swear.
The moment I took your case, my loyalty was yours." Her pulse thudded. Did you know what they were doing to me back then? He shook his head. I suspected misreporting, but not this. She wanted to believe him. And maybe she did. But trust, once burned, returned slowly, like dawn after a blackout. She stood. I need time. Maya, his voice broke slightly. Don't let my past ruin your peace. She left without answering. Weeks rolled by. The media briefly cover her case as daughter wins landmark family property suit. Reporters called it inspiring. Maya called it survival. One afternoon, a courier delivered a brown envelope, no return address. Inside lay a notarized letter of apology signed by Rashid and Nadia Khalid. We misused your kindness. You were never less than a blessing. We hope someday you can forgive us. Maya read it once, then tucked it into the same drawer as her father's earlier letter. Forgiveness wasn't the goal anymore. Freedom was. Later that evening, she stepped onto her balcony. The sky burned orange, the city humming below. Her phone buzzed, a message from Zion. I know I hurt your trust. I'm leaving the firm, starting my own practice. If you ever need a partner, professionally or otherwise, my door's open. She smiled faintly, typing back. Maybe one day. After all, I've learned to read contracts carefully. Then she set the phone down, watching the horizon shift from amber to indigo. In her living room, new locks gleamed under soft light, her own, chosen, unbreakable. Maya poured herself tea, the steam curling like a quiet promise. She thought about the girl she once was, the obedient daughter balancing ledgers for love, and felt an ache of gratitude, not loss. That version of her had survived long enough to create this one. The rain started again, tapping gently against the windows. She whispered to no one in particular. They tried to lock me out, but all they really did was set me free. And with that, she closed the file on her past forever.